What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of Soulscast. My name is Jake, and with me, as always, Bryce Gardner.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for being with me today, sir.
Likewise.
How are you? How you
Not
doing?
too bad. Doing pretty well, actually.
Out there invading? Out there getting your tongues?
Out in the streets of Lothric.
Out in the streets? So today's episode is going to be primarily about our first lore impressions after our first, several hours in the game, I guess.
I've put a good chunk of time in already.
Yeah. I mean, and that chunk of time's only going to grow as time goes on, obviously. But it's going to be kind of just, we don't really have all the answers. There's still Dark Souls will be Dark Souls, and
I'm sure there'll be things that will be debated until the next one comes out.
There's still a great deal of questions that need to be answered about a lot of things, but we figured we'd at least get into it a little bit. But before we do that, we have a couple housekeeping items, things we wanted to readdress since the last podcast, now that we're a little bit more knowledgeable about some of the PvP elements and things like that.
When we last talked PvP, we had just been doing base invasions on day 1 of the real official launch worldwide, and I had stated that I didn't really think stamina was that important. I felt like I didn't need as much, I could invest my stats into other things. And I think that kind of holds true for PvE, but for PvP, a baseline 20 stamina minimum and pretty much any
even
build
more.
Is mandatory. 20 at least though, for faster weapons. But if you're using a greatsword or something, I can't really imagine having less than 30 stamina.
Right. I mean, especially for
you
higher
swing
end.
Twice and you roll and you're out of stamina, and that just doesn't fly in most PvP environments. So it's wanted to recap on that.
And that's the other thing too, is that we really don't know the full meta game of PvP yet.
It's still evolving. I can say that I've things that I've noticed for sure, and things that stand true. At least 20 to 27 HP, depending where you're at, early to mid game.
But what
20
level?
Endurance.
Though?
Yeah, what level? I mean,
because that's relative. If you say
I'm
20...
saying early to mid game on your first playthrough, which is going to basically be 1 to 50.
Yeah.
From 1 to 50 in those times, getting that 20 in your HP and in your stamina bar is so crucial to success for me. I've gone back and we have all these characters on Xbox One and PC and PlayStation 4, and I went back and played some of my characters where I didn't have that much stamina and HP, because I was I'll try see what it's like with 50 strength and use this great shield. And I had to respect the characters because I got used to later on realizing just how important that stuff was.
It's definitely an issue, and I'm actually glad that it is an issue, because whereas in Bloodborne, you regenerated stamina so quickly that you really almost didn't need that much, because you could get to your bottom level.
With this game too.
And at first it seems like that, but it's in Bloodborne you could get to your you could burn your stamina, and then it would regenerate so quickly that your hits would come out only a fraction of a second slower than they would if you had a full stamina bar. So it's
it wasn't too bad.
It is a little bit more emphasized in Dark Souls 3 that you need to have that healthy stamina.
Well, it's just one of those things where especially all these 1v3 scenarios you get in as an invader and things like that, that stamina, if you have just enough, guard breaking is such a effective strategy, and that stamina really makes it possible.
And that's something that honestly I didn't put a lot of stock into as far as Dark Souls 2 PvP would go. If someone was turtling up and they had their shield up, it never was a strategy of mine to wail on their shield to the point where their guard would break and then I could riposte.
Yeah.
But in Dark Souls 3...
Unless you're using an ultra great sword.
Right. But in that scenario, people aren't usually going to turtle up on you like that. But in Dark Souls 3, you can wail on people's shields and their guard will get broken.
Some people are way too reliant on their shield.
Oh, yeah.
And when that happens, if you don't have a stance weapon, if you have a full stamina bar, if you've witnessed them roll a couple times, and then they try and have more stamina than them, it's over. It takes a fraction of green to be able to riposte somebody in the stomach. So it's I don't know. So I just
stamina is definitely
more
important.
We had to clarify, as always, the game is evolving. We want to evolve with the game.
Right.
And as we go, we'll be giving updated information. Just we want to talk lore today.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we're talking about, they're not we're not telling you guys this is the lore for sure. This is what's happening. We're going to give you our speculations on what we think is happening and how we feel about.
This podcast in general is just really us sharing our journey through these games with you guys, and kind of just bouncing some ideas off of each other and off the community, and just kind of get. I mean, honestly, like,
and eventually, like, we definitely would like to get in like some fight clubs going and things like that. Like, we like to like get out there and like PvP with like viewers and friends and things like that. That's why we have some plans.
We have some plans to get some streams going as well. That we're going to be in chat with each other and kind of get in stream and either duels with each other and
or we're just
general
invasions at the same time.
Bryce doesn't want to duel me because he
that's not true.
Probably lose, but that's neither here nor there.
We'll see.
Dude, come see my quick step. Come see me. I got quick step game.
I'm all about that Exile Greatsword right now. Dude. It's my bread and butter right now. That thing is a monster.
Yeah, so, it is. It's really fun.
It's so good.
But yeah, so just kind of wanted to like retouch some things that we had talked about in previous weeks. But with that, kind of want to dive into the lore here a little bit. There's you guys saw the message at the beginning of the video, but this is full spoilers. There's
anything we say,
if you're still watching because you're like, oh, maybe it won't be that spoiler heavy. No, like, this is going to be really spoiler heavy. If you haven't,
we're going to be full on spoilers for the rest of our time dropping this podcast.
Yeah, because, and it's really more important to like address that now at when the game is so early. Because there are a lot of people that are still kind of wary of spoilers. Like, I still get tweets from people every day who are like, yeah, like, I'll check out the channel, but
I want to wait till I beat the game.
Well, they're like, sorry, no spoilers, blah, blah, blah. So it's still definitely something that people are concerned about. And that'll kind of be a consideration of ours going forward until, it's been out for quite a while. We'll try and keep you guys, who are trying to stay spoiler free in mind. But with that, I mean,
talking lore though and things like this. One of the things that I wanted to start talking about, and like I wanted to know like your opinions on as well. Like, so you start out in the Cemetery of Ash, and like they call you like Ashen One. NPCs call you Ashen One and Champion of Ash, right?
Yep.
But you also go back later on in the game to the untended graves, and it's all black. But it's all in the same area. And I'm trying to wonder, like, I still haven't decided, like, do you feel like there is, like, interdimensional shit going on in this game? Or do you feel like that's, like, the same zone? Or do you, like, part of me was, like, maybe, like, the Ashen Cemetery is where, like, Champions of Ash, like, truly, like, unkindled, like, arise as, like, your chosen Champions of Ash or, like, chosen undead. Is the other one, is that where, like, a different type of person is revived? Like,
so check it out.
Or what is the significance of that?
Here's my thought on some of that is that they talk about, you go to Firelink Shrine.
Yeah.
And it is not the Firelink Shrine from game 1. It is not it's a Firelink Shrine.
It's true.
And then you talk to, I think it's Littleth, and it's either Littleth or the Maiden in Black, but basically they talk about how that Firelink Shrine is basically there to have a recreation of the first linking of the fire. Like, they actually say that in-game dialogue where they're like this is for a recreation of, that's why you're summoning the Lords of Cinder back, is to do a recreation of the first linking of the fire. So having said that, my thought, kind of leads toward thinking, well, if that place is designed for a recreation of something that's already happened, it's like, well, maybe the Cemetery of Ash is a recreation of the untended graves, which was the first area that they were maybe burying, chosen undead that either failed to link the fire or did link the fire.
Yeah. Well, it's like, a lot of them are like, it's like if you can't get past the first boss, you would never leave that area.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like beating that boss in some ways like signifies that you're chosen.
Right.
In some ways.
Or at least worthy of
it's just interesting stuff. Like, I got back there on another character the other day, and I was thinking about that, and I was just like, man, this area is just like, it's strange, and it's like, it's so dark. It's like, sometimes I almost wonder if it's like the Firelink Shrine, like when you go there, you're at the Firelink Shrine, like right before the fire fades. You know what I mean? Because it's right at the end of the game.
Right.
When you are there.
Well, and the other thing that's interesting to note, too, is that you can go to the Cemetery of Ash as well as the Untended Graves in the same game. So it's not the same area. It can't be, because you can go to both.
Yeah.
So you can still go to the regular Cemetery of Ash, and then you can go to the Untended Graves, even though it's like the same zone, but one is really dark. It's like they aren't. I mean, since you can go to both of them, that's not just the area shifting. It's a completely different place. So, I mean, but also interdimensional shit obviously is happening all the time. I mean, like, for one, in this game especially, you have all the people coming from the Boreal Valley, like, they're just, like, teleporting in, warping in from their whatever like plane they were from,
and some of the stuff,
which is honestly something that I'm not super jazzed on. I always liked it in Dark Souls 1 when it was like, oh, there's like a demon, you can hear him kind of stomping around on the roof, and it's like
you walk in and you see him standing up there.
You get to a certain zone, and then it's like boom, and it's like, oh, like you were the dude that I saw earlier, and it makes sense that you're fighting me now. But in Dark Souls 3, it's kind of like
sometimes they just kind of appear.
Here's a boss coming out of nowhere. Like,
it's not all like that.
But they do explain it. You know what I mean? It's the people that are coming from the Boreal Valley most of the time that are doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just like part of what they did.
Yeah, and so it kind of makes sense, you know, lore wise, but it's still for me it kind of just seems a little lazy. But but on that note, like, speaking of laziness, there are some things that this game does where it's like, if they would have explained them in a really intricate, cool way and made it make sense as much as anything can make sense in a Dark Souls game, it would have been awesome. But, like, okay, for instance, like, Andre being there. Like, obviously,
it's cool.
Andre being there. It's Andre, cool. He was in Dark Souls 1, that's awesome. Everyone has nostalgia for Dark Souls 1.
He's not even at Firelink Shrine in Dark Souls 1. He's just...
No, he was up in... He was at the
tower.
Yeah, he was like on the way to Sen's Fortress or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't think of the name of that zone right now.
What?
The zone where he's at. The Undead Parish, is that where it was at?
It's still technically the Undead Parish, I think. It's on the way to the Darkroot Garden. But regardless. But so anyways, like, he's there. There's no, at least as far as I've found, and that's what I'm saying, like, this is our first impressions, like, I haven't found any real lore justification for him being there, other than the fact that, you know, he's just an immortal. Honestly, I have this weird conspiracy theory that the secret in Dark Souls is, like, the gods, the all-powerful gods or whatever that are actually, like, pulling the strings of this world are, like, Andre, Patches, like, these characters that transcend games and, like, they don't age. They're in every game. And, like, From Software, it's like, what if these characters are actually, like, the gods and they're just, like, low-key, like, being, like, in human form, and no one ever really thinks, like, oh, this character is the exact same character from the other game, and he's still the exact same.
Like a mythology thing, kind of, you know, like people coming, like Greek mythology, people coming down to Earth and interacting with humans. And being in a human form, and they talk about gods, they reference the gods several times throughout the Souls series. But most of the gods, when I think gods, I think, like, the furtive pygmy and, like, Nito and stuff like that.
No, those aren't gods, man. Those are like the Lord Souls. But the gods, because they talk about Guinevere, I'm sorry, and how she left Anne Orlando with all the other deities. All the other Flame God Flan that's mentioned in Dark Souls 1, these gods aren't shown or really brought into the light in any real meaningful way in the game, but then they're like like Gwen and all them, they killed the dragons with the power of the Lord Souls. You know what I mean? Which was life and death, you know, which is
fire.
That was life.
Yeah. And the darkness, and then what was the other one?
The darkness is the furtive pygmy. Yeah. The light is Gwen. Yeah. The dark, or the death is Nito, and life is the Witch of Izalith. Yeah. And so it's light and dark, life and death. Those are like the Lord Souls. I do like
the throwbacks when you find, like, the Izalith Pyromancy Tome, and you find, like...
I like that stuff.
Those are cool because it ties in, and it's like, it makes sense. Like this stuff is, like, part of the world, and even, like, in every cycle, like, this is where this comes from.
It's like chronologically, because, like, even in Dark Souls 1, it talked about Ulasil and how it was, like, a fallen...
I still wonder if we're going to go to Ulasil in this game.
Dude, if they do, honestly, I'll be at the same time happy and annoyed.
Because I would be doing the same thing again.
Because, for one, they already had DLC where they sent you to Ulasil in Dark Souls 1, which would just continue the string of them just like trying to harken back to Dark Souls 1
like
with all the nostalgia.
Too nostalgic in some ways.
But also, that was like my favorite part of Dark Souls 1 was when you go to Ulasil, you fight the Sanctuary Guardian, you go and you fight Artorias, all that stuff is awesome. That whole DLC is just amazing.
True that.
But it's like...
They always do a good job with DLC. Bloodborne DLC was awesome. Dark Souls 1 DLC was awesome. Dark Souls 2 DLC was also super awesome. Yep. Really revamped the game, like, big time.
But you know what's super weird is that almost in a weird way, like I almost appreciate Dark Souls 2 more now that Dark Souls 3 is out because they really did their own thing as far as lore goes.
Yeah, they did. They changed things up. Like, instead of just having, like, Nito, it was, like, shards of Nito. Like, he was, like, broken.
Oh, shards of Manus.
Or Manus, excuse me. I don't know why I said Nito. And, they had that, and then they also, like, they introduced a lot of new items and characters and lands, and, like, there were some throwbacks, and most of them, especially in vanilla Dark Souls 2, were, like, tough to find. Like, finding the Onion Knight armor wasn't easy, and, like, you had to farm it, and all these things, like, and it's, like, DS3, it's like you have Havel's Ring, you pick up, like, the Grass Crest Shield, the Spider Shield, like, all these things that are exactly the weapons from Dark Souls 1, and, like, sometimes... I almost wonder if Dark Souls 3 takes place, like, around, like, the same time as Dark Souls 1. Like I get this feeling sometimes, like, I know it's always, like, the kiln of the first flame, but sometimes I feel like there's first flames in different areas of the world, almost. Right. Like, and as if, like, they're all connected.
Well, and they talk about the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder, and if there are multiple Lords of Cinder... and they live in different lands, maybe they all link different fires.
And then they end up in this...
And then they end up here, and that's why they're all coming to link this, like, central fire to, like, restart the cycle of cycles. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like...
It's interesting to speculate on. But I just wish... It's honestly almost to the point where, like, you almost... At least for me, like, I feel like I almost struggle to find new items that are exclusive to Dark Souls 3. Like, there are more items that are throwback items, I think, than there are original new items that are just in Dark Souls 3.
It's got to be pretty close, because there's a bunch of weird things and weird catalysts that, like, can do different stuff, but a lot of them are catalysts that were in other games, too. There's only 2 great bows. Earlier today, I was realizing...
There's really only 2?
Yeah, there's only 2 great bows.
Really?
It's kind of weird. Yeah, there's the
that's
Oni
fine,
Slayer and the Dragon
like...
Slayer one. I want to go get... That's one of the things I plan on doing tonight on my dude that I've been PvPing on PC that I worked on. Like, I want... the Exile Greatsword, and I want a Oni Slayer Great Bow.
Yeah.
I want to snipe some people.
It'd be heavy, dude. You need to up your vitality.
It's at, like, 17.
Your vitality?
Yeah.
Why, because you're not wearing any armor?
No.
Wait, your vitality's at 17? Or
that's my carry weight, right? Your vitality.
Your weight's at 17?
Yeah, the carry capacity one, or is that endurance? Is that endurance?
No, it's vitality.
It's vitality, yeah. I have that at, like, 17 on that guy, because I planned on picking up some heavier stuff, and, like, Greatsword I'm using is heavy, and I want to be able to, like... I like to be around 50 or 60%, like, maximum. Ideally, I like a fast roll, but if you're using, like, great swords early game, that's just, like, it's out of the question. They're freaking heavy, even with, like, Havel's Ring and stuff.
I mean, and there are rings that you can supplement that with as well, if you really wanted to.
Other things that, like, about the lore that really bother me, in Dark Souls 2, in Dark Souls 2, they introduced the cracked blue orbs, and if you wanted to join the blue sentinels, like, sin was the thing. Like, if you're an invader and you've killed a lot of people, you accumulate sin, and then you can be invaded by the blues even when you're not human,
because you're a sinner.
Like, just because you're a sinner. And that was like,
or because you reached
wretch status. That was like,
status is the bomb.
To reach wretch status, basically that means you have to invade 100 people and take out 100 people and win 100 times. Then once you do that, even if you're hollowed, even if you're not in cinder form, people can invade you with their red orbs, and you can also be invaded by blues by just popping a blue orb.
Yeah.
The blue sentinels, I have never once on a single character, and I have tried on probably close to, I would say probably at least 6 characters to get summoned on the blue sentinels with a bunch of different weapon and level sets up and zones and embered and not embered. I have never once been summoned as a blue sentinel.
I haven't either.
And it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. I hope they fix it. Certain covenants work really well. Like the watchdogs work super well.
I feel like, I swear to God, I feel like there's like a hidden mechanic. Like, I feel like there's a mechanic that we don't fully understand yet that might have to do with sinning.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, have you tried going to Velka and asking for absolution?
And she never says that I've got any sin or anything. She
says you don't have sin?
Yeah, it says I'm sinless. And, like...
Then what gives you sin?
Sin, from what I've read
I know
online,
you can cure your hollowing or whatever.
If you piss off an NPC, if you attack them a bunch of times and they're
and
attacking you, but you can
go
to her, the statue, and it'll clear that.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they patch that Blue Sentinel setup, because that's like severely lacking. I really want to get my Sacred Oath, or not my Sacred Oath. I want to get there's a ring that you can get on New Game if you turn in 10 of the items from the Blue Sentinels Covenant. It gives you 2 attunement slots. Yeah. I want that. That's good, especially for New Game, like before you go into New Game Plus and stuff. Yeah. And also you can get Darkmoon Blade. That's just cool. Plus, if you want to platinum the game,
you get Darkmoon Blade from the Blue
30.
Sentinels?
Yeah, you have to turn in 30. You turn them into Yorkshire and Anne Orlando, but the Blue Sentinels and her Covenant interact in the same way. Like when you equip their thing, you get summoned to help people of the Way of the Blue. And you rank them up. You turn in. There's only one person you can turn those medals into, and it's Yorkshire.
Yeah.
And you have to have like received the Darkmoon loyalty gesture and Firelink Shrine after you pick up those ashes, the Dream Chaser's ashes or whatever. Yeah. I want all that stuff. I have a Faith character who's awesome, and I like him a lot on PS4. He's probably one of my characters that I'll play like all the way through New Game Plus on and stuff. Like I have like a Pyromancer on Dark Souls 1 that's like 85. That's like beat the game and like about to go into New Game Plus. I've got this character who's like almost 55 or whatever on PS4 that's like about to beat the game. I'm going to take him into New Game Plus and he's going to be like Faith. And then I've got like a quality dude that I'm doing on PC that I'll take up eventually, and it's like trying all these different things. But it's like the nice thing is like my quality character, like I ran through and like just buzz through the game so fast, and you can just like you pick up all these boss souls, and if you know what weapon you want and it's like an early weapon and it's not a boss weapon, you just pop them all.
They really
and you
don't
just have
give you that many souls though.
Some of them do. The Deacons of the Deep gives you like 20k.
No.
Yeah, it does every time. The Deacons of the Deep gives you 20k, and a few of the other ones give you a lot. And
good to know, because I don't want anything that they're giving me. I'm gonna pop that.
In like less than 6 hours, I leveled a character up to 45. Got this minimum requirements for my Exile Greatsword, 20 stamina, 20 endurance, and got to the Boreal Valley, like just burning through the game. Like quality builds are just like so quick to pick up and go. Like, and then like, you know, I started with a raw weapon, and then while I was leveling strength, I switched it to heavy, and then once I got my dex and my strength up high enough, I switched it to refined. Mm-hmm. And like every time it was a damage increase, and it's like you have all these options, and then you can get like if you start as the knight, you can start with the pyromancy. Like, you can get the Karthus flame weapon really early on and buff your weapon with, like, very minimal stat investment. So it's like, I feel like this game wants pyromancy to be strong. Like, the flame is fading, you're, like, the champion of Ash, you know, whatever, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But, like, you pick up the flame clutch ring first. Like, you find pyromancies and good pyromancies first. You pick up pyromancy tomes
first. There are also a lot of enemy types that are especially weak to fire.
Yeah,
and,
like if
very
you have
much
any fire damage, they get destroyed,
which is cool. That has some cool lore implications possibly. But another thing I wanted to talk about as far as lore goes, like I guess one of the biggest things that they revealed in this game, if not the biggest, is Gwyn's third son.
It was his first son.
Well, his third child. I mean, not third in order, but the third one that we've never seen.
No one ever knew about. The broken statues and all that.
Yep, the broken statues that everyone.
And we still don't know what his name is. It's the Nameless King.
Is it Solaire? Is it Andre? People have had all these different theories, and now we know it's the Nameless King.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking badass, and he rides dragons, and how he sided with the dragons as opposed to with his family. So now he was cast down from his god status by Gwyn.
He got cast out of god status straight to badass status.
Yeah, dude.
Dragon surfer status.
And also, I wonder, like, the other cool thing to think about as far as lore implications is, like, the dragon riders. Like, he's literally riding a dragon.
Like, right before you go in to fight him, like, on your way to there's like a spear on the ground, like, in front of the gate before you ring the bell, and it's the Dragon Slayer spear. And then after you kill him, you find the Dragon Slayer armor.
Yeah.
So it's like all these Dragon Slayers.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
It's like,
but that's contradictory.
What if that's what Ornstein was, and that's what the Dragon Slayers were supposed to be in the other ones? Like, they were sent out. They were the people with the task to go kill Gwyn's firstborn.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they were also,
you know, it's very contradictory too, because he's rocking the it's like a sword, spear, or whatever thing, but it's imbued with lightning. He does lightning damage. Lightning is what dragons are weak to.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's very contradictory to
That's probably how he tamed the dragons, though. To
what's been going on.
Plus he's Gwyn's son, so it makes sense that he has power over lightning.
Clearly he's super powerful, and the dragon or the wyvern that he's riding on is the Storm King.
Yeah.
Or whatever that means. I think the whole storm things that are in this game, that's kind of a new thing that they brought in. There's the storm sword that kills giants or whatever.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed that just like they introduced the storm stuff, they introduced some of this frost damage and things like that, and you go to the Boreal Valley and these people are shooting spells at you.
Is it the Boreal Valley?
What? Where the frost is at and
I know
stuff?
you go, it's Ithiel or whatever.
Yeah, the Boreal, if you go to Ithiel.
Is it Ithiel, the Boreal Valley?
The Boreal Valley or whatever,
It is the full-fledged Boreal Valley?
Yeah, you go there, and they shoot you with these spells, and when they hit you, it builds up your frost meter, but the spells in the game don't do that to players. Why not?
There's no frost spells or anything.
It's there's an inconsistency there. Yeah.
DLC.
Could be.
Dude, I'm calling it right now. That's why I was wondering if that was the full-fledged... I know it's called Ithiel or whatever, but I couldn't remember.
It's Ithiel of the Boreal Valley.
Of the Boreal Valley. See, I almost wonder if in the DLC you go to the Boreal Valley, which honestly, that would be cool, but I will say that the Snowy Zone, whatever it was called in Dark Souls 2 DLC... least favorite zone I've ever played in any video game of my entire life.
Really?
When you go out into the fucking snow and it's all crazy, you can't see shit, and those lightning horses come and start fucking you up. It's just what the fuck is going on? This is just awful. It was difficult, and
my
that's
least
not
favorite
necessarily...
zone is the Valley of the Giants or the Tomb of the Giants in Dark Souls 1. It's just really annoying to me. I had my time in that zone, and I got frustrated like that, and then I figured it out, and it's really just... You got good.
I mean, not really even. It's just I used Cast Light, and luckily my character was able to use that, and that made getting through there a lot easier. I don't know, noob stuff.
Yeah.
Or also just wear that sunlight maggot helmet or whatever.
Yeah, there's also that skull lantern.
Skull lanterns, but then you can't, it takes up a whatever.
Yeah.
But
so annoying.
But yeah, dude, the Nameless King may be the most exciting thing to come in this game, in my opinion.
I was pretty interested to find out those lore tidbits.
Also, I mean, this guy, that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Kind of represents every player character that's ever been played by anybody, because it covers he uses dex weapons, he uses strength, he uses spells, he uses fire,
and he also uses Wrath of the Gods. And
he uses Wrath of the Gods. He uses literally everything that's in the
poisons.
game, and that's really cool. I'm glad that that was.
Yeah, I had a lot
awesome.
of fun with this boss fight. Even though now that I know how kind of what they want you to do to fight him, I don't think I'll ever really struggle with him again.
Yeah, I mean, but we sure did the first time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and I think that's
the point.
And there are a lot of players that aren't super diehard Souls fans that are gonna play this game and maybe beat it once, or if they ever do.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, they're gonna struggle, then they're gonna figure it out, and they're gonna be like, yeah, and then they're gonna be done with the game forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for those,
finally, I never have to play this godforsaken game again.
But for those characters, it's for those players, I mean, that's a really cool boss fight.
Yeah.
They triumphed over some a boss that's using everything that the game has, and they're throwing all the abilities at you, and you have to figure out how to fight it.
That freaking polearm, man, that lance sucks on the last boss.
It does, man. But dude, but you're right though. Once you figure out how to do that boss fight, it's not that difficult.
No.
And honestly, for me,
I kept trying to parry him in the second phase. I don't think you can.
I think you can.
Can you?
I think you can.
Maybe, I don't know.
I really want to believe that they did that. I didn't parry him either. I was using quick
I tried
step.
a bunch of times and it would always make the noise you almost parried it, but it would never actually parry
Dude,
him.
that's the story of Dark Souls 3 is partial parry.
Yeah.
Partial parries 3 is the new name of the game.
Dude.
They definitely nerfed parries in a big way. But I was using the parrying dagger the other day.
It just requires more skill, I think.
The parrying dagger...
Same for backstabs.
The parrying dagger, I think, has the same speed as what people are used to for the old parry timing.
Maybe.
I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I was playing with it. It feels like that.
I'm not a big fan of the parrying dagger because then people know that parrying is something you want to do.
Yeah.
When I use the shield, it's people are is he trying to block me or is he trying to parry me? And I switch between it a lot.
And most people, and that's the other thing that's cool too, is like when I use like quick step, like I'll just like throw the shield on my back, quick step around, and like mess dudes up, and then I'll like switch back and I'll have my shield, and then you can parry people still.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice option.
I'm just having flashes of your guy in that big fat exile armor,
Dude,
quick stepping around.
I'm telling you, it is broken. Like, it is OP. It is
it's good.
Like, if you know how to use it right and you use the right rings and you have the right stats, like, I can quick step around you all day. Like, I can keep moving, and then I can still have enough stamina left to attack several times, and then move out and keep quick stepping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a really good strat that I haven't really fully explored yet, but
we always come back to like talking PvP and fighting, like no matter what we're talking about, we always get on this like sidetrack because that's just like what we love. I mean,
that's the key to the longevity of these games.
Yeah.
Really is the PvP, I think. But
other lore things that I've been thinking about, things that have been introduced in this game, like so we have like this frost, we also have the deep,
right?
Like which like it seems like something of the abyss, but it's like.
It would make sense.
It almost seems like a secondary abyss because you have dark stuff and things of darkness, but then there's things of deep, which like deal like similar to dark damage, but it doesn't scale off of anything. And it's like there's Aldrich of the Deep, but then there's also the Abyss Watchers, and it's not connected. Like
no,
you fight like Volnir the king, and he's kind of like
he fell to the abyss.
He fell to the abyss.
He fell to the abyss.
He's like this guardian of the abyss in a way. You know, he's being manipulated by the abyss. But then you have Aldrich of the Deep, who was like this consuming like creature that's abyss-like, but he's like on the surface.
He started out as like a human or whatever.
He was like a priest, but he started eating people. Or cleric. He
was a cleric, and he started eating people, and that's how he became in his current form.
But he gained so much power that he was made a Lord of Cinder. So it's like
I really like how they say like they didn't make him a Lord of Cinder for his
decision making, essentially.
For his like virtue.
Yeah.
They did it because of his might.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. They were just like, this guy is really fucked up, but he's so strong that, he might as well link the fire and do the thing. Which that's really cool, and that says a lot about the nature of the world of Dark Souls.
Things lore-wise in this, I do like all the NPC invaders. They all kind of really have like a personal identity in a way, and like the AI is good.
Yeah, the AI is definitely good.
I like how they like jump you or like
they'll parry you.
They've got some good shady stuff going on. They all drop cool items and things like that. Like I got killed by Knight's Slayer Sorig or Tesorig or whatever earlier, and he like gestures at you. Yeah,
I think that's the only way to get that gesture is to die by him.
Really?
I think, yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I believe so. I don't think that you. I don't know.
Maybe you
get it when you kill him if you don't die the first time. But honestly, I would not be surprised if you have to die to him to get that gesture.
Yeah, it could be.
Because then he like taunts you with it after you die.
He's like, yeah.
So funny, dude.
We both talked about how it's really disappointing when you go up and you're in the smoldering lake and you turn off that contraption at the top and there's just like pretty much nothing up there.
I almost wonder if like what if we're just missing something.
No, I don't think so. I just don't really think there's much.
Or maybe they think that you going and doing that and you turn it off and then you're like, yes, like now I can go grab all those items that I was too scared to get before.
Even though really you've just been hiding behind the trees and dying just to get all these large Titanite shards.
It's like I'll just have no souls, run out there, get all the items, and then even if I die, it's like I still got the items, so what?
That's like, if you're just trying to get through the game fast, like, as soon as you get to the catacombs, like, I like to go to the catacombs first, because you can run through the catacombs really fast, go to the lake and pick up all those large Titanites, and you can upgrade your weapon high before you fight.
What do you have to get? You have to beat the Abyss Watchers just to get to the catacombs?
Yeah, that's it. It's not that hard. It's really easy, like,
so
even with like a non-upgraded weapon, you can just like summon people if you're worried about it, or if you're trying to speedrun it and you like want some help, like literally one other person makes the Abyss Watchers so easy. Oh, dude,
you can get there so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as you leave the high wall.
And then you can just go get those large Titanite, like really, really early. Same thing with like the flame weapon, and then you can use flame weapon for like the rest of the game. Yeah. It only requires like 10.
I need to get that.
Faith and 10 intellect. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I'm getting ready to, and on the character I'm leveling for PS4 right now, which is kind of just like he's a faith. Pretty much faith character. I think I have 14 dex and 12 strength right now.
Yeah. Gotta get that kite shield on that short bow, man.
Dude, I have it.
That's the good stuff.
But on that character right now, I'm like, I spent a couple hours last night, not even a couple hours. I spent like an hour last night helping people fight Wolnir, and just get
that's a good way to do it.
Get my sunlight medals. Dude, it was so fast. It was so easy and fast. How
many did you farm?
I have like 15 of them now, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty
good. So that way when I get to Lothric Castle, I can just immediately like turn those in.
Something I want to do sometime, we need to start characters and we need to go try to like kill a dancer right off the bat.
Dude,
and go there. I think it'd be fun though.
We could summon each other for it.
We could just sit down one day and be like, we're gonna do this and
break the game.
2 or 3 hours later. I mean, it's not breaking, but it kind of is, because you go and you can just pick up all these chunks and you can just go to all these end game areas and like you barely have to fight any bosses to do all this stuff. Like
but I mean the dancer. I mean honestly, like for me, the dancer is not an easy boss fight.
No, it's some serious one shots.
I don't.
I've gotten better at it because I was doing it kind of at a lower level. I did it like at like level 40 something, and it was like it's still a struggle, for sure. But like if you can get like 2 people in there with you that like know how to play it right, like a lot of people just go up and just run out of stamina and then try to dodge and they get screwed. You have to like just alternate, and it's not
just,
so
like,
bad.
Hit and run tactics kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, if you had someone that was kind of like tankier or like just was good at drawing threat, and then you had someone that could just like nuke on her with spells or something that just had a bunch of Ash Estus
I think it's
flasks.
weak to. I think the dancer is weak to dark, so you could just get hella dark spells and blast on them. But
even though I feel like all the spells in this game are super weak,
it just depends. They're weak early, but later on they're not.
So I gave that cleric chick, I gave her the dark tome honestly by accident. It didn't really matter though for my playthrough, but like
if you don't buy those spells from her later on, once you get her the eyes, I think that you can give them to her, or it might just be by the time you get to that point. If you buy only her holy spells, later in the game you can turn her into a full-fledged firekeeper.
Yeah.
And then she'll drop the dark tomes that you gave to her if you didn't buy the spells from her, and then you can give them to Carla. If you learn all the dark tomes from her, she'll never talk to you again.
If you learn all of them?
After you learn all of them, yeah.
See, I learned Gnaw, which is the one that
the bees.
Well, I realize it's the spell that the
fat
ladies, which are really a throwback to fat ministers from Demon Souls, like 100%.
Yeah,
like if you remember fat ministers,
right.
they are
pretty much the same
100%
thing.
fat ministers. So that's another Demon Souls throwback.
Just
which is just confusing as all hell. But
I know.
It's so funny because I feel like From actually enjoys the fact that like they're like, fuck it, we make the rules, like we don't have to like abide by anyone else's like canonical like that's Demon Souls, not Dark Souls. It's just like they're like, dude, these are all they're gonna throw a fucking armored core mech in the next game and just say fuck it.
The last boss is just gonna be a fucking mech with
armored core
a bunch of rockets.
This is a subject for a whole nother podcast, but I really hope that's the next thing that FromSoft does, is like a Souls-esque mech game. I would literally freak the fuck out. That is like my dream game.
They definitely have the opportunities to do it.
Oh, that would be so good.
It would be fun.
God, that would be so good.
Man.
It's like we got dogs or something.
Yeah. Brooke might have just gotten here.
But anyways, like, so Nameless King, super awesome lore introduction in this game.
Yeah, it was nice to see that.
And then
mystery finally solved.
The last boss, which, you know, who's to say that that's not Solaire? It's not Solaire.
Who?
Nameless King.
Oh, no, it's not Solaire.
It's not Solaire.
Solaire is cool, but he's not that cool. I'm sorry.
He's that cool.
You think so?
Yeah.
Dude,
he could throw lightning spears.
Jolly co-op. It's pretty cool stuff.
I also just read last night, I figured out what items you have to drop for the full Solaire set.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do a full Solaire cosplay.
That'd be fun.
Like PvP
Throwing
thing
lightning
or something.
Spears and stuff.
Dude, yeah, it's going to be dope. I really just want his shield. His shield is so sick.
Yeah, I like the sunlight shield.
It's so cool. Sick, man. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else lore-wise that like has stuck out to you?
No, these are just like little things, you know, that have like come up, and it's like.
But and we'll be able to like, you know, get some.
I'm looking forward to like these really big guys. Like I want to see like Vaddie's big lore breakdown, and I want to see like a few other guys that's big lore breakdowns, and I want to see like if I agree or if I don't agree with what they're thinking. But like.
I've been watching Epic Name Bros playthrough, his blind playthrough of the game, and honestly, like his whole thing, like. Is pretty much, he's saying pretty much exactly what like we've been saying. It's like, man, it's like, honestly, I feel like Dark Souls 3 is like an homage to Dark Souls as a series. Like, it's like a farewell letter to the series, I think. It's kind of like...
It does kind of feel that way.
It's kind of like, you know, this is our one last hurrah, and we're going to just make a game for the fans and just
I hope
stick
they come
all
back to it at some point, man. If they say they take like a 4 or 5 year break.
They're gonna do something, and I'm really excited to see what it
better
is.
Be good.
I mean, dude,
I feel like every game they've released has just really gotten better and better and better. Like, there's some drawbacks in Dark Souls 2 to Dark Souls 1, but there's still so many quality of life improvements that to me it's still like overall has gotten better. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I like the lore breakdown in Dark Souls 1 more than Dark Souls 2. But as far as like actual like connectivity and like all of that kind of stuff goes, and even just like the net coding, like they've pretty much just gotten better and better as they've gone. It's still like there's still things that I wish that they would like balance out a little better.
Dude,
but...
and honestly, like, I swear, and this is probably just because it was like the first Dark Souls game that I ever beat or spent like a ton of time in, but like I have such a soft spot for Dark Souls 2. Like, a lot of people hate on it super hard, and honestly, like, I'm not a super big fan of like the level design in that game or the world design, but it was still a good game. Like I really like the world and the way the world is put together in Dark Souls 1.
I like the NPCs too.
And I like the NPCs. I like Dark Souls 1 more. I still think Dark Souls 1 as a game, as like a PvE, not taking into account connectivity, not taking into account anything like that. Dark Souls 1 is still my favorite Dark Souls game, just because of the way the world was put together and how truly challenging it was to just have to like run around and like
the world.
I mean, you had to, because you couldn't teleport, you had to run. I mean, it was just truly challenging. And I mean, as far as like that was, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I would assume, I mean, it wasn't my first Souls game that I beat, but it's a lot of people's first Souls game, and it's like, you know, that game made you struggle. Like, if you got cursed, like we've talked about this, you got cursed, like there are things that that game that would happen to people.
Very merciless.
People would not know how to fix these problems, and it would probably make them put the game down
and just quit
and just be like, fuck it, like I'm not gonna play this shit.
Yeah,
it's like I was already struggling, and now my health's cut in half, and I don't know how to fix it. Like, dude, it was merciless. So it's like when you do beat that game, it's like, holy shit, like I really did something. Like,
it's like the first time I beat Dark Souls 1, I was like, I don't even know if I'll ever come back and play this game again. But then, you know, you come back and play it countless times, but it's like when I finally beat it, it was like, I can finally be done.
You just reminded me that we need to check out Dark Souls 1 on Xbox.
See what it's like, see what the connectivity's like.
Ooh, and stuff. That's an interesting thought. I totally forgot that they did that.
It's still good on Steam. And as far as like Dark Souls 3 goes on consoles and PC and stuff, it's pretty much PC, PS4, Xbox One is like pretty low down here.
Yeah.
I was really discouraged with Dark Souls 3 on PC at first because it was crashing for me. As soon as I set my lighting to low, I haven't crashed since. So
I was
hopefully
really
they'll patch it out a little better soon.
I was really pleased with the difference from Xbox One to PS4 as well.
Yeah, PS4 is a kick ass for Dark Souls 3. It does really well for a console.
Also,
steady, it's solid.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but I was just reading about PS4.5. They're talking about releasing a new PS4 that's going to be like better. And I was reading the specs, and honestly, like as far as the specs went, I wasn't like overly, like it didn't like jump out at me like, oh man, like this seems so much better or whatever. But then I saw something else, and I don't know if this is true or not at all, but it was like, if someone was posting something, it was like PS4, it was like 1080p 30 frames, PS4.5 1080p 60 frames.
Weird.
And it's like, dude, if they could make things like Dark Souls run at 60 frames on like the new PS4, like okay, I'm calling.
I'd be impressed.
This will be this episode's getting a little long in the tooth. Yeah. But to close it out, I'm gonna make a prediction right now.
Yeah.
With the PS4.5, they're gonna release a Dark Souls 3 that will be the equivalent of the Prepare to Die edition, that will be the equivalent of the Scholar of the First Sin with all the DLC on it, that's going to run at 60 frames per second on PS4.5.
I'd buy it.
Bet. How much do you want to bet that's going to happen? It'll be a couple years. It'll be a year and a half down the road or more.
It's hard to say.
But
I'd buy it though.
Dude, if they
already bought 7 copies of the freaking game. I got it on PC, Xbox One, and PS4, and then I bought it for 4 of my friends.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
Yeah, trying to create a Dark Souls army here.
Right. I spread the word of Gwyn.
Yeah, that's right.
The good word.
That's right.
But with that, guys, this has been third episode of Soulscast.
Maybe a little longer than we intended.
Maybe a little longer than we intended, but that's going to happen. My name is Jake, and this is Bryce. As always, praise the sun.
Praise the sun.
And thanks for watching, guys.